I'm so excited. This is episode number 100. If you don't believe it, then you're not going to take action. What you think and the thoughts that you have and where your mind is set to, that is a reflection of who you are. It's typically not that you don't want your future, right? You want the results. You want the marriage. You want the healthy body. You want the money. You want the great relationships. You want happy kids. The only thing that keeps us from doing that is the pain that we feel when we have to take certain actions to get that or stop doing certain actions in order to get that. Are people going to not love me? Are they going to leave me? What are people going to perceive of me? What am I going to perceive of myself? What does it mean about me? When you logically understand things, it's like closing a window on your computer, and there's so much healing in that. Welcome to the Blooming Podcast. If you saw from the title, this is episode number 100, and I'm so excited. I've been seeing every week, noticing like episode 96, 97, 98, 99. And last week when I recorded 99, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for episode 100? Do I have to do something special? What is it? And I just thought, no, I'm just going to sit and chat to you guys about the lessons that I learned. So it's going to be short and simple, but I hope that you guys can glean something from it because I learned quite a bit of things, 3 things specifically. So let's get right into it. First, I know there's some people that have watched or listened to this podcast and they've listened to every episode, like 100 episodes. So if you're one of those people, I just want to say thank you for supporting the show. I hope that it has served you as much as it has served me by creating it. I learned so much about myself. It's helped my business. It's helped a lot of people. But if you're somebody that showed up every week, just coming for knowledge, I want to tell you just thank you. And I hope it served you. That's always been my intention. I think there's something really special about having ideas and saying, hey, world, I think I have something valuable to say. And I want you to hear my ideas because I think they could help you. And as a coach, that's what I do with my coaching. I create programs and serve clients. But with a podcast, it's really just like sharing something and putting it out into the universe and hoping people will listen and hoping it helps them. And I don't know if you're watching this and you're somebody who maybe wants to create a podcast and you're interested in like what it takes and what effects it could have on your life. Oh my gosh, I couldn't recommend it enough. For me, what it's done, what I know that it's done for me is that it's really created a space for me to first and foremost serve people. Secondly, I don't know if you guys know what integration means, but when you put things out into the universe, when you express your ideas, when you express or communicate an idea, share a desire, share a fear, share a need, anything like that. What it does is it helps you bring something that's like a kind of like a secret or just like an idea, and it puts it out into the world. And it's really healing when you share ideas, when you share your needs. And creating a podcast does that. It totally did that for me. It reminds me of like when I journal, when I have like therapy, when I meet with my coach. That's what this was for me. It was such a therapeutic type of thing because most of the time I'm sharing concepts with you guys, but I share a ton of personal stories. I share things on the podcast that I don't sometimes even share with some of my clients because I'm in the zone and I'm sharing specific ideas. And so sometimes I just forget, but I share a lot of private stuff here. And when I really believe that secrets keep you sick, and sharing your secrets help you heal. And when you don't share your secrets, it can create shame. It's almost like having something private that you are really have a deep desire to share. And when you don't, it feels like a secret, although it's not, right? It could just be like a business. It could be an idea. It could be just an opinion. It could be a need, right? Something that you want. And there's something about expressing it to somebody. Think of like when you finally get an idea off your chest, or like when you talk to a boss about something. That's what this is. And that's what podcasting is for me. Obviously, it's a marketing tool. It's a way that I share my ideas with clients and potential clients for you guys to kind of get a taste of my coaching. But if you're somebody that wants to kind of get ideas out, if you don't want to do it on a podcast, there's this beautiful little thing called a phone. And it, when you have a voice note, you can record your ideas on a voice note. I do this every single day. I'm somebody that processes things out loud and by writing. But if you don't want to take the time to write, sometimes you just got to turn your phone on, and when you're doing your hair, doing your makeup, driving, whatever, do that. If you want to get into podcasting and podcasting feels a little too scary at first, start recording into your phone and get comfortable with that. Get comfortable with hearing your own voice, because you have to hear your own voice. If you listen to the podcast, right? I listen to my episodes. I check for editing. I check for, how did I sound? Did I convey ideas well? Do I have any metaphors, stories, analogies that I can make better? It is important to be a good communicator in order to be a good educator, to be a good teacher, to be a good coach. That's what I do. And so it's always important for me to see how I'm, and just watch myself and see how I'm expressing myself, sharing stories and ideas. So I do listen to myself, and you've got to get used to hearing your own voice. And then if it's a video podcast like this, you have to be able to watch yourself, right? So podcasting really does that for me. And if that's something that you want to get used to, first do it on your phone. It feels like too big of a deal, or it feels too scary, and then start doing it on your podcast. One thing I noticed is 100 episodes, right? So I've started this podcast in 2020, June of 2020, and this will be 3 full years. Next month, it'll be exactly 3 full years that I've had the podcast. So if you think about it, there's 52 weeks in a year. I should, if I put the podcast out every week like I planned every Wednesday, I should have 156 episodes. I have 100, meaning 56 weeks out of those 156, I did not put out an episode. And I'm not going to beat myself up about that, because I think 100 episodes is better than none. And 100 episodes is a huge feat. Some people don't even have one, right? So some people don't have any podcasts. So I want to commend myself. I'm very happy about that. But I do want to acknowledge the fact that if you are somebody that loved the podcast, really relies on getting the message and the coaching into your ears every week, and you looked forward to it, and I didn't show up, I am sorry. I take full responsibility for that. I pride myself in serving. I'm such a servant leader, and I just always want to be providing the best for my clients and my potential clients, and just anybody who listens, right? And so I know that for me, like, I have people that I follow, just kidding, certain pastors whose podcasts I listen to, certain coaches. I'm very particular about who I listen to. I don't want too many voices in my ears. I want like really consistent messages. And then I want the people who I listen to be very aligned with my values, right? And so I'm a Christian woman, I'm a coach, and I always want that to be aligned. They start talking about other stuff, I'm like, don't listen to that part. We're not aligned there, right? But I do know what it's like to look forward to having something there when you want it, or when someone said it was going to be there. So I take full responsibility for not showing up some Wednesdays. And here's what I know about consistency and showing up. Your actions and how consistent you are with your actions means you're having consistent thoughts. So if you want consistent actions, you need to have consistent thoughts. And if you want to have consistent thoughts, your thoughts are created by your emotions, and your emotions are created by your beliefs. This is contrary to some people's beliefs about how the mind works. I know the model is something that, if you are familiar with the Life Coach School, Brooke Castillo is an amazing coach who I love and look up to. And she created a framework called the model. And it's CTFAR: circumstances create your thoughts, create your feelings, actions, and results. My model's very different. It's more trauma informed. And I believe that what you deeply believe creates desire, creates like some type of an emotion, which will create thoughts, and that creates results. It'll create your actions. And it's really interesting to know that, or just consider that when you want to be consistent with your actions, your beliefs and your thoughts need to stay really consistent. And I know for me, looking back, when I think about the 100 episodes, I think about how, specifically how, when I wasn't in full belief that the podcast needed to be done this week, like whenever my thoughts were like, yeah, I don't need to do it, I didn't do it, right? But when I was like, podcasting is important, it's important to my listeners, it's important to my clients, it's important to me and as a business owner, it's important just like for consistency, I show up, right? And so I want you to notice that if you want to be consistent, if I was consistent every single week and my thoughts were consistent and my beliefs were consistent, I wouldn't have missed any weeks ever, right? I would have planned ahead, scheduled ahead whenever I wanted to take a break or a vacation, but always put something out every week. And I'm committing to doing that these next 100 episodes. I do see the value in podcasting. I see the value in sharing my ideas and concepts with you guys. I'm going through a big transition, personally and professionally. I'll be sharing that in the podcast episodes to come. So you're gonna want to listen to this. And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, please. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go in the show notes and please subscribe, because the videos are gonna get poppin'. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see my setup's very different right now, right? I have a new chair, new background, new office, all the things. It's going to change right now. It's like my makeshift setup right now, because I don't have my boy Omar here. Like, I need him to come over here and set it up, who's actually editing this podcast. And where was I? Oh, consistency. So to be consistent, I look forward to being more consistent, not even more consistent, bringing you guys a podcast episode every week. I already have a couple episodes in the bank, so you'll get them in your ear. Some of them I did not record videos for, so they're gonna skip videos, but the videos are gonna come and they're gonna be consistent, and they're gonna get even better because I'm hiring a really great editor and team. Shout out to Omar El-Takori at the video department, because he's going to start editing all my stuff. So if you talk about quality, he's an amazing video editor. So, and content creator and a great friend. So what's important to me is consistency. And I really want to show you guys that you guys are important to me. 100 episodes just feels really great for me. I felt a lot of pride being able to do that, being able to accomplish something 100 times, because it wasn't just 100 episodes. To make and put out 100 episodes is hundreds of hours of work, right? Some episodes were short, some are really long, but just to do them, it does require a lot of planning and writing and just a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And then it requires a lot of money to edit and things like that. I did everything on my own up until last November, when I finally hired a video editor, and a podcast editor. And so it does come at the expense of my time, my effort, and my money, the three most important resources we have, right? And so one of my biggest lessons that I learned about the podcast, or just about podcasting and 100 episodes in, is consistency isn't something that you just like, it's just going to show up and fall on your head because you decide to have a podcast. You're not going to always feel like doing it. Motivation doesn't just come right naturally. Discipline is what gets you to feel more motivated. Discipline always wins. And when you're disciplined, it just means choosing that this is important and you understand the why, and you'll show up, right? And I'm declaring that my why is very, very big. It's important, and I want to show up for you guys. So thank you for being here for the 100 episodes. And if you're new here and it's like your first episode, like, well, cool. Go listen to some of the old ones. They're really, really great. All right. I was talking to one of my clients last week. I have a group coaching program called Bloom, if you're not familiar. And I was talking to my group last week, and we were talking about consistency and just the ability to like delay gratification, specifically about like money and doing things every day until you get the result, right? That's not easy for most people. If it was, everybody would be skinny, rich, and perfectly married and in love, right? But it's not. And so that's why we don't know how to have the results that we want. But I was telling my clients, I said, it's interesting. Some of you guys have 9-to-5 jobs that you guys don't even really like, because a lot of people are working with me to quit their jobs in order to start their businesses. And I tell them, when you show up on Monday, you don't expect to get paid on Monday, right? You don't expect to get paid on Tuesday. You show up for 2 weeks, and then that next Friday, then you get a direct deposit in your bank account, right? And it's interesting how you're willing. So a lot of people, and for you, if you're consistent for other people but not for yourself, just consider this, right? Notice how you're willing to show up for 10 days of 8-hour work, if that's the kind of work you do, right? Like you work a 9-to-5, and you'll put off the pleasure or the result or the gratification of getting paid because you know you're going to get paid. And some of you guys have businesses and you don't show up consistently in your businesses and know that like I'm going to get paid. It's like you guys expect instant gratification, and that's just not how life works. Anything that you want takes a while. We have to learn to be patient. And I was very patient with myself with this podcast. I was way too patient with myself. Honestly, I think when it came to creating with not being consistent, some weeks I was like, I could take 2 weeks off. Like the beginning of 2023, I took like 2 months off completely because I had such a tiring and exhausting launch in December. It took everything out of me because I had like 2 full months of like nonstop work. And so I was like, I'm going to give myself 2 months off. Should not have done that with the podcast. I'm so sad I wasn't there for you guys. We would have hit 100 like 2 months ago, right? But motivation you don't just wake up motivated every day. You have to use discipline in order to keep showing up. And I am determined to be consistent and disciplined with showing up for you guys, right? So notice what you're willing to do for other people and trust that someone's going to pay you for 2 weeks. If you're somebody who's doing something for yourself, why can't you do that for yourself, right? It's almost like you're willing to do it because you believe somebody else is going to pay you, but you don't believe you're going to, right? That the universe or God is going to pay you for doing the work. It does. It always pays you back. But if you don't believe it, then you're not going to take action, right? Like I said earlier, your belief determines your actions. That's like the first place, but your thoughts will come up every day and just change your mind. And that's where I kind of messed up. So what I learned is consistency is important if you want people to really trust you that you're going to show up. I realize I probably have to build my trust again with you guys, right? So that you guys can see that I'm showing up consistently, and that discipline is more important than motivation, because motivation, like Mel Robbins says, it just doesn't show up every day, right? I think it's really important to notice or acknowledge the bravery or the courage that it takes to put your ideas out into the world. I'll speak for myself, to put my ideas out into the world. It's not easy to just say, hey, I have something cool to share and I hope you'll listen. I think that's a huge feat in and of itself. It takes a ton of bravery. It takes a lot of courage. And I'm really happy that I did that. So being brave enough to do that. I know when I see people living out their dreams and they're doing things that are like uncomfortable to me, they're like constantly showing up on social, constantly dressed up and ready. They're always working. They're always selling. They're always making offers. They're always eating healthy. They're always at the gym. Oh my gosh, that's like my next biggest feat, is like getting to the gym consistently and really, really getting my body really great. I'm happy where I am, but I want to get even better. And it's we admire people that do difficult things, right? And I've been told often, I was talking to my twin sister today and she was like, I told her, I'm going to go film my 100th episode podcast. My 100th podcast episode. Is that the right way to say it? Oh my gosh, I think so. And I was like, I should have 156 because I've been doing it for 3 years, but whatever. She's like, girl, I don't have one. Like, that's great. Don't even knock it, right? So there's something beautiful about being showing up and sharing your ideas. So I definitely pride myself in that. There was so many other things I wanted to talk to you guys about. Hold on one second. Let me look. There was this episode or this like video that I watched from Jordan Peterson talking to Robert Greene. We all know who Jordan Peterson is, yeah? Robert Greene is an author and speaker. He wrote The 48 Laws of Power and so many other great books. And I remember them having a conversation about the books that they've written and how it helps them process a lot of stuff and how there's a lot of healing in getting things out. Podcasting does that, guys. Like, believe it or not, if you do it with like serious intention, right? You're putting out things that like literally make you uncomfortable. You're not just like sharing, like talking crap about people or gossip or things like that. And listen, that may be your shtick. Like that may be the work that you do. But when you're sharing like concepts and ideas and making offers and things like that, it's really, in my opinion, super vulnerable. but it builds so much confidence and it builds so much self-awareness, and you understand yourself a lot more. And I think that when you have a podcast and you share and show up consistently, that's what it does. Um, what it does is it helps you integrate ideas. And what that means basically is your conscious mind understands the deeper parts of you. Sometimes when you're talking, like ideas come up and you're like, oh, I forgot that I knew that, right? Or I didn't know that I knew that. And I know that sounds a little weird, but when you say things out loud, it helps you process. And by process, I mean, it just helps you get the ideas from inside of you out. And that creates a lot of self-understanding, self-awareness. You get to know like, oh, that thing was an issue for me, but I got over it and this is why, and now I understand it. When you logically understand things, it's like closing a window on your computer, and there's so much healing in that. There's so much healing in that. There's a couple podcasts that I really enjoy listening to. One specifically by a guy named Tim Ross. He has a podcast called The Basement, or a video podcast show on YouTube called The Basement. I'll link it here. And I love how he just shares like really great ideas. He's an ex-pastor. I watch Alex Cooper. I've only seen a couple episodes because she's really like extra and talks about things that I aren't really aligned with me, or I'm not interested in them. But I just love how she shows up all the time. So podcasting is really about showing up, sharing your ideas, and doing it bravely and doing it courageously. And I love that I've been able to do that for 100 episodes. Mostly I learned that I can do hard things. There were so many times that I wanted to give up and just quit the podcast and say, oh, no one's even listening. I mean, yeah, I get a couple thousand episodes an episode, whatever, I get a couple thousand downloads an episode, and that's great, but like, no one cares. Who cares? And I realized like, no, I'm glad I continued showing up. I'm glad I saw the value in it, because I get emails from you guys. I see the reviews. I see the downloads. Like I've gone like when I didn't record episodes for 2 full months, the podcast got thousands of downloads every single month. And I was like, people still find it and listen to it. Or you guys go back and listen to past episodes, right? And so I think that's like really cool. And it's not lost on me that I wanted to give up, and I'm so proud of myself for not giving up, because I've given up so many things in my life. Consistency has been something that's been really hard for me, because I'm somebody that's, if you listen to last week's podcast episode, it's all or nothing thinking. And I didn't realize that I was very like all or nothing. Like something would go wrong. One little mistake would go wrong at my work when I worked like a 9 to 5. And because one thing went wrong, I made it mean that I was a piece of crap and I had to quit everything. And I was like, no, we don't have to do that. Sometimes when I wouldn't show up, I was like, I didn't show up for 2 weeks. I should just quit the podcast. No, don't do that. Like, why? And so consistency, like when I realized I was going to hit 100 episodes, I was like, wow, I am so freaking proud of myself. It literally motivated me to like really show up more, because I realized I did something really, really hard that I've never been able to do. I had a podcast back in 2014, and I think I did 50 episodes, which is, listen, no small feat. That's a big deal. But that was to do 100 episodes now, and it's for my business, like so bomb. Love it. So proud of myself. The podcast episode was initially called the Mindset Makeover Class. And then I changed it to Trauma to Triumph, because I got really, really deep into healing modalities. I was being trained in a lot of different trauma-informed things. And my coaching program was called Trauma to Triumph. So I thought it was great to call it that. But then early last year, early 2022, I changed the name to Blooming. And mostly because I wanted to I don't identify myself as like a trauma coach, or like I am trauma informed, which just means I know that people have experienced stressful stuff in their past, and I acknowledge it. I have a lot of empathy for it, and I treat them as such, right? And I don't want to be known as like trauma coach. You guys are going to see that I'm going to be going through a big transition in terms of branding. The next program that I'm creating is very, very different than you guys are going to see me create, that I've ever talked about. I'm really focused on shifting my business and my brand and just like my identity as a coach because it's time. And I hope you guys will stay around long enough for you guys to see the changes because I do know that they're really, really going to help you. You guys will see that the podcast episodes are just going to be really different, a lot more forward thinking, and I think they're really going to serve you. And I love that it's pivoted, right? Having a podcast show doesn't mean that it has to stay the same. As I grew, as I evolved, the podcast grew, the name changed, the topics changed, I added video, right? There's so many things changed because that's what happens. You don't just, we have seasons, right? You don't just stay the same your entire life. And as a coach and as a woman changed, my podcasting and the things that I covered definitely changed. And I was always really scared that like people are going to think that I'm erratic or inconsistent. It was never about inconsistency when it came to the topics I talked about. All of that was very intentional. I used to focus on mindset, and then I got more into healing root causes, right, of issues. Mindset, in my opinion, is a symptom of your deeper beliefs about yourself. And so what you think and the thoughts that you have and where your mind is set to, the setting it's set to, right, that is a reflection of who you are. And who you are is based on your values, your missions, your vision, and your values. Did I already say values? Your standards, things like that, right? And your goals. And so I stopped talking about mindset, went into more about trauma, and then blooming is just more about really realizing your full potential and becoming the person that you are destined to become, and focusing on that future and that person, that life that you want, and the person that you need to be in order to have the life you want. So you guys are going to see that moving forward. Nothing's changing. The name isn't changing, but the topics that I'm covering are going to be very, very different in the sense that it's still coaching, but I do hope that you guys notice the places that I'm taking you and what I want you to focus on more. Pivoting, I think, is great. Never be scared to change. Always be okay with pivoting and seeing where you're evolving, where the things that you talk about evolve, your coaching evolves, your business evolves. I was a one-on-one coach for 3.5 years. I went into group. So as I change and my business changes, the podcast has changed too. So, and then lastly, I just want to talk with you guys a little bit about what some of the podcast episodes that were my favorite. So I think one of my recent favorites was when I shared, it was podcast episode, I think it was 96, and it was titled Taking Care of Business, the Self-Organization Model. Maybe it was 97. I think it was actually 97. It'll be linked in the show notes. And it was where I shared in my opinion, my most essential or integral framework that I created as a coach. And I was really nervous to share it. Like I've never shared private frameworks and curriculum or anything like that. And once I realized that I felt like I'd been holding back and not sharing with you guys enough of my like tools, I was like, why haven't I done that? And once I realized that I hadn't, I was like, girl, we doing it. And so I think it's a framework that I'll be talking about a lot more. I'm always going to keep bringing you back to your internal system, right? To your self-organization model. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's going to be really helpful. So I was really proud of that. I'm proud of the curriculum that I've created in Bloom, and just as a coach, but that specific framework, that model, I'm so proud of it. So that episode was really great. The episode where I shared how trauma ruined my marriage, that one was really, really vulnerable. And I think a lot of people got to know me when I shared that. One of these days, I'm going to have Claudio on the podcast, my ex-husband, because I love him so much. But I think if, or maybe I'll do that for my listeners in Bloom, for my clients in Bloom. And if you want to listen, you guys got to become clients. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But I think talking with him, you guys can see a little bit more about me, because I share with you guys how I was. And I have clients, like I was getting my hair done today with Susie, my hairstylist. And she was like, she always tells me, I just don't believe that you were like a wreck before. And I was like, I was a wreck. Like if you talk to my husband, he would tell you, but he's such a great person. I don't even think he would even want to like talk about me like that, because he's such a beautiful, logical, but like empathetic person. He never holds my stuff against me. He's just like, you were messed up, but like, it's okay, you know? So we'll see. Let's see if we can get him on the show. So that was one of my favorite episodes. And then I had another one. What was the last one? Hold on. Let me look at the podcast app real quick so I can see, because I know which one it was. Where is it? No, not Six Figures. The episode where when I canceled Selfmade, a group coaching program that I had, and then I explained why I canceled it. Hold on. I'm gonna get it because you guys need to know. One that was really good is I went to college to get a boy to like me. Oh my God, that one was so good. You guys should listen to that one. And then where is it? Oh, it was why I canceled my group coaching program. It was I don't know what number it was, but it was on March 30th, 2022. So I'll get the number so you guys can listen to it. But that one was great because I was really vulnerable about how I was probably doing it for the wrong reasons, and how I was scared to do a group coaching program, and how I decided to stay in one-on-one. And then even in hindsight, looking back, like I was so inconsistent because my thoughts were so inconsistent, because my belief was so inconsistent. And we're going to talk a lot about that moving forward, really just getting clear about the future that you want. And based on the future that you want, your actions should be matching that. If they're not, then you're not going to get the results you want. But when you're not taking action, it's almost, at least from what I've seen, it's typically not that you don't want your future, right? You want the results. You want the marriage. You want the healthy body. You want the money. You want the great relationships. You want happy kids. You want a great career. Most people want that. The only thing that keeps us from doing that is the pain that we feel when we have to take certain actions to get that, or stop doing certain actions in order to get that. And the reason these two feel hard is because of the belief that we have about what it means about us. There's attachment in your identity and your beliefs that create and I'll get into that in another episode, but mostly it's just that it's the belief that we think of what's going to happen if we give something up, or when we start doing something. How's life going to feel if I have to start doing this? And how's life going to feel if I stop doing this? Are people going to not love me? Are they going to leave me? What are people going to perceive of me? What am I going to perceive of myself? What does it mean about me? What could happen, right? It's always those thoughts that keep you from taking the action to get you the result that you want. And so I'm going to be talking a lot about this moving forward, because I really want you, if you're a female who listens to this, you guys know that I coach women. One of these days I'm going to get back to coaching guys, because I love coaching guys. I have great guy friends that I talk to a lot, and I helped a lot of great guys. Like I gotta get some of those guys on the podcast. That would be really fun. But because I talk to and coach women, I'm going to be talking about a lot of topics that are going to blow your mind moving forward, and you're going to want to just listen to every episode. So more than anything, I just wanted to say a big thank you, because this podcast has really grown me. It's taught me so much about myself. It's helped me with my business. It's helped me reach a lot of people. It's helped me get a lot of clients. It's helped me earn money. It's helped me, it's taught me discipline. It's taught me about motivation. It's just taught me so much. And then it's helped me serve a lot of you guys. It's helped me meet a lot of great people. And I'm a servant leader. I'm somebody that puts service first, because I know when I serve the world and I give of myself, then I get something in return. But it doesn't feel good to just get things. It always feels, I believe it feels good to receive things and get things because you're serving others, because it comes from helping other people. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you for listening. I hope if this podcast served you in any way, would you take a moment and rate it on Apple iTunes? I don't know if you can rate episodes on Spotify, but if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts, take a second, rate it, give me a review if you would. If you're listening and watching this on YouTube, click below, like it, maybe share it with a friend. And if you're listening to this, and take a screenshot of it, share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on TikTok, wherever you can share it, or share it with a friend, send it to a friend and say, this is an episode that I really liked. Maybe you'll like it. It really helps the show. It helps me. If you're somebody who's never been coached by me, you've only been coached by me by listening to this podcast, please do me that favor, right? I've showed up for you 100 times. That would really help me. And what else? And if you're somebody that wants to work with me in my group coaching programs, click the link below to get on the wait list, because we are going to be launching very, very soon. We're opening enrollment for my coaching programs, and you're not going to want to miss out. So get on the wait list, because lots of good stuff comes in there. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you subscribe to the show, if you're not subscribed on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. Click the little plus on top and hit follow, because that helps the show. And share it with a friend. And if you take a screenshot and you share it on Instagram, wherever you're listening to this, right? YouTube, wherever, tag me, Annabelle.Ingleton, and then tag Blooming Podcast Show. All right. Because I'd love to say thank you. And then if you're somebody who has been a listener and you've listened to 100 episodes, would you DM me and tell me, or like comment below and let me know if you're watching this on YouTube? I want to just thank you personally and say, like, you're freaking cool, and just give you a big virtual hug, because I think that's freaking crazy impressive. So I can't wait to spend another 100 episodes with you. I'm committed to showing up every Wednesday. The backdrop and everything, this is going to look really different because I'm in the process of getting my office remodeled. So you can expect for it to look really cool, a lot cooler than this look. What else? I'm going to be having guests come on the show, and I hope that's going to be really interesting for you guys. I will be on some podcast episodes coming up. And because of that, one of them specifically with this really great divorce attorney, I'm going to grab that episode and put it here on my podcast show, just so you guys can hear it, because I know it's going to be a great conversation. So get ready for 100 really great episodes. I'm committed on showing up here. And what I think I believe is going to happen is the YouTube video. So the video podcast of the show is actually going to premiere on Tuesday nights. And so if you're somebody that wants to get this show prior, if you want to listen to it before it comes out on Apple Podcasts on Wednesday mornings, you get to listen to it first, and it premieres on YouTube. So subscribe there so you don't miss those. And it's going to come up every Tuesday night. It's going to be really cool, right? So like, don't miss that. I hope you liked this video podcast. If you like the show, subscribe here on YouTube, click the like button below, and maybe you can listen to or watch this podcast episode that you haven't seen before. See you next time.